Picture going down through 29 kilometers of solid ice on Europa, Jupiter's frozen moon. There is no sound or light. The whole world is frozen and heavy on you from all sides. Then, after what seems like forever, the ice gives way. You make it through to the open water. But this ocean isn't like any other you've seen. You are in a body of water that has never seen a single ray of sunshine. There is no sky above you or surface to swim toward. There is only a ceiling of ice that goes on forever. And it's not the darkness that's scary. It's the feeling that you might not be alone after a while. EU doesn't seem like a threat. It looks almost quiet from far away. A pale, icy rock with reddish-brown lines that look like veins running through frozen skin. It's just over 3,100 kilometers across, which is a little less than our moon. Jupiter pulls it so tightly that the same side always faces the gas giant as it goes around it, once every 3.5 days. It is one of the cleanest things in the solar system on the outside. It was eerily flat, with almost no craters or mountains. It was just cracked and damaged ice. And the first sign that something strange is going on below is how smooth it is. Craters form on most planets and moons over billions of years. We don't have many in Europa. That means the surface is being changed all the time. Something is pushing up from the ground, wiping away the old scars and putting down new ice. The answer that most people agree on is simple and unsettling. Europa has an ocean. It's a global ocean of liquid salt water that's hidden under kilometers of frozen crust. It's been working away in the dark for what feels like billions of years. NASA's Galileo probe, which went around Jupiter from 1995 to 2003, gave us our first real clues. During Galileo's 11 flybys of Europa, its magnetometer picked up an induced magnetic field that didn't come from the core, but from something below the surface that could carry electricity. The best answer was water that was salty. Then the pictures showed up. The cracks on Europa's surface make big patterns that cross each other. These are called lineae. Some of them are stretching hundreds of kilometers, which makes sense since the surface is bending and breaking apart over a layer of liquid. Some areas had chaos terrain, which means that the ice looked like it had broken up, moved around, and then frozen in a totally different pattern, like a jigsaw puzzle that was shaken up and then put back together wrong. Something warm and wet pushing up from below would be the only thing that could cause that kind of mess. But how can water be liquid when it's so far from the sun? At a distance of about 670 million kilometers, the temperature at the surface is about minus 160 degrees Celsius. Everything needs to be frozen. It would be if Jupiter wasn't there. Europa is being pulled back and forth by Jupiter's gravity and that of its moons Io and Ganymede. Together, they keep Europa's orbit a little off-kilter, and the changing distance between the two planets causes tides. With each orbit, Jupiter's gravity literally stretches and squeezes the inside of Europa. Through a process called tidal heating, that steady kneading makes heat. It's kind of like moving a pen back and forth. In places where metal bends, it gets warm. Now picture that happening on a planet all the time for 4.5 billion years. The water is very big. Based on what we know now, it might be around 100 kilometers deep. About 11 kilometers is the deepest point in Earth's seas. The ocean on Europa could hold twice or 3 times as much water as all the water on Earth put together. The whole thing is hidden away in the dark under a frozen lid. NASA released information from Juno's flyby in 2022 in January 2025. With its microwave radiometer, Juno found out how cold Europa's ice really is, ending an argument that had been going on for decades. In general, the ice shell is about 29 kilometers thick. The water between the top and the ocean is about 18 miles thick and frozen. The thick ice model was confirmed by Juno, which has big implications. If the ice shell is thick, it means that the ocean is very far away. Jupiter's energy hits Europa's surface and breaks up water molecules, making reactive chemicals. Chemicals that could feed life might be able to get through the ice and into the ocean. But 29 kilometers is a very big obstacle. Juno saw small holes and cracks in the surface, but they were only a few hundred meters deep and didn't go all the way to the ocean. Still, there are signs that the ocean is not totally cut off. In 2012, the Hubble Space Telescope took pictures of what looked like huge clouds of water vapor rising up to 200 kilometers above the surface of Europa from its south pole. Then, in 2018, scientists looked at old Galileo data and found something very interesting. The spaceship came within 206 kilometers of the surface during a flyby in 1997. In just 3 minutes, the magnetometer recorded a shift of more than 200 nanoteslas, and the plasma wave spectrometer picked up a sharp rise in plasma density. The only model that fit was one in which Galileo had flown straight through a plume of water vapor. The proof had been in the files for more than 20 years. If those puffs of air are real, the ocean is actively letting out its gases into space. Europa isn't just frozen. It's taking in air. In other words, a spaceship could fly right through one of those plumes and take samples of the ocean. No digging through ice that is kilometers thick. There should be no landing on a surface that would break most gadgets in hours. Just a quick look through a cloud of sea spray. So now we can talk about the radiation. Europa is very far inside the magnetosphere of Jupiter. The amount of radiation at the surface is about 5.4 sieverts per day. 1 sievert is enough to make you sick with radiation. 5 in a day would be very bad. Any living things on the surface are also killed by the radiation. Natural processes on Jupiter would destroy any biomarkers that were brought up by them. In the areas with the most radiation, close to the equator, you would have to dig 10 to 20 centimeters below the surface to find stuff that hasn't been chemically changed. That being said, could something live in that ocean? We don't know. But the ingredients look very hopeful, which is scary. The right ingredients, liquid water, and chemical energy are needed for life. Europa may have more water than Earth does. It most likely has the parts. The question mark is over the power. On Earth, life does well in places that look a lot like the ocean floor of Europa. Along hills in the middle of the ocean, hydrothermal vents push water that is very hot and full of minerals into the cold darkness. There, whole communities live without any sunlight at all. Hydrogen sulfide is turned into food by bacteria that eat chemical energy. Worms, crabs, shrimp, and fish all live on those germs. Life that has never been outside. But studies done in 2024 showed that the rocky interior of Europa might not produce enough heat to make the seafloor volcanoes erupt. Simulations showed that magma probably can't get to the ocean floor through the thick rock above it. A big source of chemical energy goes away when volcanoes stop erupting. There is an argument against this, though. Chemical energy can be made at much lower temperatures through a process called serpentinization. When seawater seeps into rock cracks and mixes with some minerals, it makes heat and hydrogen gas. A NASA study from 2016 found that serpentinization alone could keep Europa's ocean's chemicals in balance, just like Earth's. Simulations from 2024 also showed that ocean moons with low-temperature hydrothermal systems could last for billions of years, long enough for life to start to form. In 2023, the James Webb Space Telescope revealed that there was carbon dioxide on the surface of Europa. It was found in Terra Rayo, an area of chaos terrain. The carbon dioxide seemed to come from deep inside, which suggests that the ocean itself has carbon compounds. Webb confirmed the rising clouds of water vapor as well. Europa wasn't just leaky. The water in its hidden ocean was coming out of it. NASA sent Europa Clipper into space on October 14, 2024, using a SpaceX Falcon Heavy rocket. 9 scientific instruments on board are meant to map Europa's surface, measure its ice shell, look for organic molecules, and prove that there is an ocean below the surface. The spaceship will fly by Jupiter 49 times, getting as close as 25 kilometers from the surface. It will get there in April 2030. Clipper's mass spectrometers could take direct samples of clouds, tasting the ocean without ever touching the ice. Even if the answer is something bad, it is still scary. If the ocean around Europa is empty, it makes us very nervous to think about how rare life might be. But if there is something there, even a single-celled critter that eats chemicals at night, everything changes. It means that life is real. It had to happen twice in the same solar system for the universe to not be empty. Europa doesn't care about what we have to say. It keeps going around in circles, bending and hiding its ocean under 29 kilometers of old ice. What's down there has been waiting in the dark for as long as Earth has had complicated life. Right now, a spaceship is hurtling toward it with the tools that could finally let us listen. Glad you watched, and see you in the next one.